Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back in with you guys for another show, for our second upload in what feels like no time whatsoever. Arteta has been unveiled at Arsenal. He has just completed his first press conference as Arsenal head coach, and we are here to react to that and get, obviously, and you're going to be able to see me. Can you hear me? I hope you can. For some reason, yeah, you can. I don't know what's going on there. The prodigal son has returned, says Brian Robles. Carl Halberg says, "Hey Tom, first time back in a while. How are you? I'm good, mate. Thank you for tuning in. You should be able to hear me now. I'm pretty sure you can. Still people saying they can't. I'm pretty sure you can hear me. Please let me know if you can." Let's dive straight in though to what was his comments on Football London, which is usually where I go for the press conference reaction, because it's all just there and quite concise. So he says, "I feel back home. I'm extremely happy and proud to have been given the opportunity to. I've been preparing for a few years for this challenge to come. I know what the club deserves. I'm ready for the challenge and I can't wait to start working with the players." Now, before I go any further, I want to just say that I was extremely impressed with how he conducted himself in this press conference. I don't want to say it because it's the most cliche thing ever, but he just had that aura about him that I feel we've lacked since Arsene Wenger's more prime years in a press conference, where Unai Emery has been in there, and the communication issues that we've had with him. He was never really able to convey how he wanted to speak or what he wanted to say. But Arteta's communication to the journalists and to us watching online was second to none. And I mean, the Gaming Pod says, "Oh my God, how impressed were you by Arteta's convincing first presser? He's already sounds like he won't tolerate anything other than pure commitment." We will get on to those comments very, very soon. Continuing onwards, he says, "If I wouldn't feel ready and prepared for this, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. The first priority is to change the energy. Last week I was here with Man City and I felt a little bit down." Very interesting. I think you could actually see that on his face. "I want to get everybody in the club with the same mindset. We have to build a culture that sustains the rest. My job is to convince everybody that this is how we're going to live. If you're going to be part of this organization, it's going to be this way. We need the fans. We need to engage them to transmit our behavior and intention. That's the only way they'll give us a little bit, and we'll feel that connection. When you're outside this football club, you look at it and think, wow, this is massive." And this comment here was the one which made me think, right, the players aren't going to be able to get away with things. The players will have to get on board with what the philosophy he wants to deploy, the style of play that he wants to put in, the type of pressing that he wants to use, and the other coaches, that you need to get on board with this, otherwise you're gone. And if you're not 100% committed to this, as he said in previous interviews elsewhere and when he was a player about his prospective coaching career, if you're not up for that, then you need to leave, because that is the perfect type that we've wanted. And hopefully all those fans that were skeptical, that were thinking, "Oh, he's not got any experience," naturally, a lot of those fans I've seen turn around and be like, "We need someone who's going to lead the team with an iron fist." And you can't turn around and say that from initial thoughts on the guy, that that's not the way he isn't coming across, because he is coming across that way. He is coming across someone as an authoritarian, someone that's going to whip this team into shape, and someone that we need desperately to be able to do that. Moving forwards, he says, "Has Arsenal lost its identity? That's what I'm sensing from the outside. I'd like to understand the reasons why, to implement certain things that are quick wins for the players, staff, and everybody." So he wants a reaction very, very quickly, and that is important. In terms of his link to Guardiola, "You have to be ruthless, consistent, and fit every day the culture of the club to create a winning mentality. Every day is important. Every act is important. His work rate is incredible. For me, the secret is that players and staff have to believe what you're trying to deliver." And I think when we think back to Emery, the players and the staff didn't believe in what Emery was trying to deploy, and that's why you saw this such a lackadaisical. We saw a system in which players weren't committed to it. They didn't want to play in it. They didn't want to use it. And that's why we ultimately didn't get the outcome that Emery probably wanted. Carl says he has a real love for the club and won't tolerate less than full commitment. I love it. I loved how he started off it by saying that he's home. I mean, he clearly loved being at Man City, and you can't disrespect that. He's won lots while he was there under Pep Guardiola and helping that side. And he said it's his home. It's his home. Calvin says he didn't say team. He said organisation. Perfect. Love him already. Peter Breeze says fans need to back him as clear out will have both ups and downs. Joe Jacobs says from now on, we must learn to be very, very patient. And he is spot on there, Joe. We aren't going to get, in my opinion, I don't think you're going to see a huge reaction or a huge amount of progress this season. We need to sit back and look at things and just get behind the coach. I cannot wait to be there for the first game against Chelsea at home. I know he's going to play Bournemouth and that'll be his game, but I feel that first game at home is going to be amazing. I can't wait to go. Mike from the Gooners podcast is going to be there too. I can't wait to be in that ground and seeing what Mikel Arteta has done in the short space of time that he's been available to get with and use these players. He must have had some sort of word with the players before the game tomorrow. He will definitely have had some connection with them, although his role does technically start on Sunday. Freddie will be in charge on Saturday. Then hopefully will be some players in that team that will be desperate to show Mikel what he's going to be using going forwards. What does he say to fans who doubt him due to his inexperience? Great question. I completely understand their concerns. I will give every drop of blood for this football club to make it better. He's not going to blindside them. He's not going to insult them. He's going to take it on the chin and say, I understand that people have concerns, but he shows that he is committed into turning people's opinions around on him. Arteta on how he got here and what he'll change. I wouldn't be sitting here if Wenger didn't have the vision to join this incredible club. I have my ideas that I would like to keep for myself. I have to corroborate myself when I see them act and behave. I want to do things my way by convincing them that this is the right way. I want people who are comfortable with what I'm asking them to do. I want people who deliver passion and energy to the football club. Anybody who doesn't buy into it is not good enough for this club and culture. I need to understand how they're feeling, what they're lacking. If I reach that point, I can help them. They will trust me and follow me. This comment right here is the highlight and the antithesis of what we've wanted in a coach for so long. We need to instill a philosophy, a mantra, organization throughout the team, to the youth players, to the kids, to the staff, to everyone. And Arteta fantastically says in this statement here that if you are not part of the program or you don't want to get with it, then you can leave and you can get on with your life, because we only want the people that want to instill love at this club like the fans want it. Now, I'm very much a person that separates a fan's appreciation and love for a club to what a player who has been bought might have for the club. But there is a difference between what my sort of perspective or my interpretation of what players should love about Arsenal and what Arteta wants from those players, because those players are not going to be fans 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100. They're not going to be a fan of Arsenal the same way that you and I are. And I know that he knows what this club is about from what he's saying. He's been at the club under the previous manager, who was arguably the biggest identity this club has had maybe in its entire history. And he knows that what he needs to do at this club is to get that connection between the players, to himself, to the staff, to the football pitch, and ultimately at the end to the fans as well. And he does bring up the fans. I'm not sure if they've written it down here, but he does bring them up. On Ozil, there's always going to be a question on Ozil, wasn't there? He's a massive player for this football club. I want to understand how they're feeling and what they need. He's a massive player. I work with him and I know when he ticks what he can bring to the team. My job is to get the best out of him. We've said multiple times on this show, and I've said that I'm more than happy for Ozil to be moved on. But at the same time, if Arteta gets the best out of one of the players that I know has the ability to be the best number 10 in the world, because he's shown it, he just hasn't shown it enough, then great. If he's going to get Ozil playing week in, week out, fantastic. But ultimately, Ozil is going to be a huge test for Arteta, because if he doesn't put in the effort, doesn't show the commitment that Arteta wants, and Arteta allows it to fester and continue, and Ozil is allowed to walk all over him, then that is going to go completely against what Arteta is saying. So Ozil is probably the biggest test that Arteta has in terms of the playing staff in this team, arguably rivaling what he's got to do with the defence and himself and Ozil. Those three things are the biggest tests we've got to face for Arteta in this team. And if he can master those two things, being the defence and Ozil, then my God, we've got a hell of a team moving forwards. But it is going to be a huge, huge challenge. On the transfer window, I didn't expect him to say much, and he didn't. He says he confirms that he's not spoken about the January transfer window with the Arsenal hierarchy. That was expected. On Ljungberg, he says he had a conversation with him today, and later on he went to say that he needs to have a long conversation with him, talking to Ljungberg about what might be his role in the team, even if he has a role. We still don't know as of yet what his role might be. On taking the Arsenal job, when Arsenal knock at the door, it's difficult to say no. I mean, we heard that famous quote from Raul Sanllehi back in the day. He's sort of saying that again. Maybe he wasn't just saying it for the sake of it. Maybe Arteta corroborates that. The Real Arsenal says incoming players only become fans from the love that supporters give and the way the club treats them. 100% great point. Heidi Hole says we've all got to back him. Give him time. He might be a future legend. He has no chill, says Jiraj, whatever that means. He has no chill. I hope he's not got chill. I hope he is on it every single second that he is in this team. Taylor says, in regards to Ozil, I believe he thinks he can reach and get the best out of Ozil, and if not, he will try to convince Ozil to help him. And if that doesn't work, he will move him on. And that's ultimately what it's going to be. That's ultimately all that we can hope from him. Taylor also says that I thought he was reading a teleprompter. Perfect responses. Have faith. I feel it will be rewarded. It did feel very, very confident. Danny from Burkamp Wonderland says, I'm fully behind him, but he has never managed a team in his life. That's worrying. Even Tony Adams has more experience. Would you be taking Tony Adams after what he did at Portsmouth and Granada, Danny? I don't think you would. But I think what we've seen from Arteta and what you'll hear tomorrow in the managerial tactical breakdown is that his coaching ability at Man City and what he's learned there and the sort of coaching implementations that he's had on the likes of Sane and Sterling, and even defensive players like Delph, who was playing at left back for a while, and Zinchenko, and these guys have learned and progressed under Arteta, is that this guy can achieve really, really good progression of players, not just in the midfield and the forward line, but also in the defence as well. Let's move on and continue up the ladder. I think that might be it. I think that might be where it was sort of finished off. It was just ultimately a very, very good interview and a very, very good press conference, and it couldn't have gone any better, if we're honest. I don't think that you could have seen a better, more confident Arteta. I think Paul Scholes will be absolutely gutted that Arteta wasn't wearing a suit. I hope that was done on purpose, because if it was, that's brilliant. But it's great seeing Arteta back in an Arsenal shirt. I mean, it doesn't look like he's aged a day, which is clearly something that he's eating, and I need to know what that is because it's ridiculous how young he still looks. I love the comic side of it where he started talking about how he always thought of himself as the oldest player and now he's looking at himself as the youngest coach. That's a little great, and just little things like that, and just building that relationship with the media is really important. Just having that relationship and making the media laugh. You can't understate and take those sort of little quips for granted, because Wenger sort of had these little Wengerisms here and there that sort of built up that great relationship with the press, which sort of soured towards the end. Emery never really built that up with the press, and that meant that he was under pressure quite a lot. Arteta is definitely going to be under pressure, but anything he can do in his personality traits to try and alleviate some of that pressure is going to be important. He needs to be able to communicate properly, and just having I know I sound like a broken record a bit by saying this, but just the little quips and the little comic effects right there shows the guy's got a personality. It shows that he can relate to people, and ultimately his communication is going to be really key when it comes to trying to work out how we fit these players that we have. CA says, Tom, it's all good, but this is day one. If the board doesn't back him, then he's ruined. And that is the next big thing. We can always look at Ozil as a challenge. We can look at a defense as a challenge. But if he doesn't get the backing from the board, we're going to see some huge issues with this. Omar says, I have mixed feelings regarding his appointment. On one hand, his inexperience worries me, but on the other, I feel he is at the start of something special after this press conference. It is funny how things change so rapidly at Arsenal. 24 hours ago, people were concerned. They didn't really know what we were expecting. Arteta was sort of this, not unknown in terms of who he is, but unknown in terms of what he was able to bring to a football club. And now we're looking at him as a confident coach who knows the philosophy that he wants to play. He wants to instill commitment in the team. And if you're not going to provide that commitment, then you can get out. That's basically what he's told us from this press conference. And it was fantastic to see it in that sense. Peter Renner says, I hope Cazorla is coming back. Fantastic player. Wouldn't it be amazing if Santi Cazorla finished his career at Villarreal and then came over to start coaching that midfield? How good could some of those midfielders, how much could they learn from someone like Santi Cazorla? How amazing would that be? You never know. It could happen. Pratik says, exciting appointment for neutral, but scary for us fans because this is a gamble. And I'd be wrong to say that it isn't a gamble. It 100% is a big gamble. He's got no coaching experience from a first team level in terms of being that main guy, but he's got a hell of a lot of priceless experience in terms of coaching. But actually, maybe you think of those guys, right? You think of this person who's been behind the number one, arguably the best manager, maybe in the history of the game. Maybe that's going a little bit too far, but he is a hell of a manager in Pep Guardiola and what he's won and where he's done it across Europe, not just at one club. And he's learned from him. But at the same time, there were instances in those games under Pep Guardiola where it was Arteta that spotted tactical things that needed to change, and they were implemented and they were successful. And if you want to learn a little bit more about that, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow morning I'll be joined by the Athletics Manchester City correspondent Sam Lee, who is going to give you the managerial tactical breakdown of your life as he breaks down all the different parts and elements of Arteta's time at Man City, and also how Sam thinks that Arteta might cope at Arsenal in the months, years, seasons to come. But that is tomorrow morning, and that is where we're going to round off today's show. Thank you ever so much for everyone that tuned in this afternoon. I really hope you've enjoyed the show and enjoyed listening and reading through Arteta's press conference. Please leave a comment in the description, or not in the description because that's for me, but the comment section below. Please leave something about what you feel needs to come next. In fact, what I would like you to do is in the comment section below, if you're watching on playback, if you're watching live, first of all, thank you for tuning in, but please click on this again after it's fully uploaded. I would like you in the comment section below to leave a message to Arteta. What would you like Arteta to know? What, as a fan, would you like him to hear if you were in contact with him? Leave a message for Arteta in the comment section below. I'll be really interested. I'm going to read through all of them. Believe me, I will. And I'll see you again very, very soon tomorrow morning for that managerial tactical breakdown. Please subscribe for that. Turn those notifications on so you will know when it drops, because it's not a live show, pre-recorded. So make sure you turn those notifications on so you can get it straight into your notification and upload box. Like the video. I'll see you again very, very soon, and in a more positive way than we've ever had in the last few months or so. Up the Arsenal.